Okay, I live in Singapore, and I've been living in Asia for quite a long time. And it's not that uncommon to see guys getting the hand from girls. What does this mean, the hand? Well, it's usually when a guy is approaching a girl and hasn't even gotten a word out, or maybe he said, "Excuse me, and she's already waving the hand at him and walking away. Looks like a bad day. But actually, this is, in most cases, not the guy's fault. It's because the girl is a social retard. That's right. She is transgressing social norms. She's the one being rude, not the guy. All the guy did was say, "Excuse me," or walk over to her. That's not rude. And the bad news is that quite a lot of people, a disproportionate number of people in Asia, are social retards. Yes, that's right. I'm not exactly sure why that's so. I'm still awaiting a full-scale sociological study to explain that. And I would like to take part in one or fund one, because I'd really like to know. But just off the top of my head, I'm going to guess that it's because either you might have approached a girl or people who are actually children still, and you misjudge their age. Or maybe they're mentally and emotionally like children, and they're still afraid to talk to strangers. Or maybe they never learned politeness or manners from their mom or from society. Or maybe they just never learned how to mix in polite society. Or maybe they just never learned how to be mature adults or have never matured. What are the underlying reasons for this? Again, off the top of my head, it might be because their parents and their families, their society, their schools have been sheltering them and babying them from a young age, and they've become like this and haven't gained independence yet. I'm not really sure why. Those are all guesses. But this is the situation. You can approach and meet and attract and get social retards to open up. And this is something that you have to learn after living in Asia for a long time and having to socially interact with people. However, this is not really what I'm interested in helping people with. I'm not interested in helping people meet social retards or immature people or children. Maybe you can find another dating coach or dating company that does that sort of thing. But I'm interested in helping you meet people of quality. And that's what people come to me for. Okay, so what though, if the problem isn't her, what if the problem's you? How do you know? Well, this is where we need the litmus test opener. Okay, and here is the need to isolate variables. So you want to be able to pull apart these different components of attraction, and the litmus test opener does this for you in one major area that you can control, which are your words. So you can then isolate the verbal material and then see if maybe if you're still getting lots of bad reactions, that it's because of some other area. It's not the verbal material. Okay, so what are some examples of litmus test openers? Well, classic examples are time and directions. So you can stop somebody on the street, and anybody who's polite would respond to, "Excuse me, do you have the time?" Make sure you take your watch off before you do that. You can also ask for directions. You can ask people for the nearest Starbucks or the nearest 7-Eleven or for a nearby ATM. Okay, these are all things that polite individuals ought to answer, or at least attempt to answer. Sometimes people are in a rush. A lot of times when I'm out in public, I'm in a rush, rushing to a meeting or I'm late for something. And in those cases, my head is down and I'm not paying attention to other people around me. And they could be delivering great value to me, but I'm in such a rush that I don't notice that. And that's my fault. They shouldn't feel bad at all. I'm not rejecting them. I'm just in a rush. So sometimes people are in a rush and they ignore you. Again, it's not your fault. So you can then take these litmus test openers and use these to isolate the verbal material. So now you know that if you're getting lots of multiple bad reactions, that it's not because of the things you're saying. It must be something else. And now we look at the other things. Maybe you then should look in the mirror and maybe see if your body language is good, if your tonality is good, if your eye contact is strong, if your grooming and presentation and look and image are good. Maybe you've got a booger hanging out of your nose, or maybe your breath smells really bad. Who knows? These are all ways of controlling those, and now you can control the verbal material and the verbal factor, and then look at these other variables and see maybe it's one of those. And this is also really good as a warm-up to get your social juices flowing. So if you start asking for people for time and directions, this gets you in a talkative mood. And if you approach polite people, they ought to be giving you decent reactions. In addition to time and directions, you can also ask simple opinions, like or just simple recommendations. You might ask somebody if they know the phone number for a taxi cab company, because you've got to get a cab. In Singapore, it's pretty common for people to book taxis ahead of time. You might ask somebody if they know what time the subway or MRT closes, because you've got to just plan out your schedule, and maybe you're hoping that they might know. Right? So these are all ways of breaking the ice, and these are all questions that polite people ought to be able to answer, or attempt to answer. Right? These are reasonable questions. Right? So this is what I call the litmus test opener. Start using them at the beginning of the night, or the beginning of your day, and before you know it, you'll be socializing. So it's Dr. David Tian, the Asian Rake, signing off. Play on.